hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Slowly, they're coming in.
Linda, just making sure you can hear me.
I can. Thank you, Heidi.
Thanks.
I've gone ahead and started the stream, Linda, so whenever
Thank
you're
you.
ready. Yep.
Bill, maybe one more minute. I think I have one or two more people that are supposed to join.
Technically, we have a quorum.
We need 8 because it's a 14-member committee to.
Okay, that's right. Plus 1.
Yeah. I have a couple more who said they were coming.
50 plus 1.
I see Jay. Hi, Jay. I see Heidi. Hello, Ricardo. Hi, Christy. I see Emily's name and Josh's name and Diane's name. Good to see you all. And go Maya. Wow, fantastic. What a year. And then she's off to college, playing soccer in college. That is just amazing.
Yeah, and he's off a lot sooner than we think. She has to be there June 27th. Oh.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I bet she's just tickled pink. I mean, she's
ready.
She's going to love it college.
Yep, she's excited. Yep, very excited. The boys I worry
Heidi
about more
Torian
than
says
mom
she's
and
in the
dad.
waiting room.
Agreed.
Who is? Diane, can you get
Heidi
people in the
Torian
waiting
says
room?
she's
I'm not seeing
in the
anybody.
waiting room.
I don't see anyone in the waiting room on my screen.
I don't
Who's in
either.
the waiting room, Bill?
I'm texting
Heidi Torian.
her back.
Is she
Heidi
in the
Torian's
waiting
trying to
room?
get in the meeting.
I don't see
Is
her.
she on the Zoom meeting or did she go to the other one?
Oh, so hold on, I'm fixing that.
There's someone logged in as NK North Marion. I don't know who that is.
That's me, Diane. Greg.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
That is Greg. Heidi's flipping. She was in the Google room. She's coming over to the. There's a little switch you can turn off that Google link that automatically occurs. I learned that the other day when somebody yelled at me.
Oh, good to know.
Okay, she says she's in the Zoom.
I have 2
You see
more
her in the
people.
Zoom, Heidi Torian.
There we go. I think that's
Jason.
all that said they were coming, Bill.
It's here. Heidi's here, so we're good. Yep, we're good.
Do you want me
And
to
did I get an agenda since
text
I didn't
Jolynn
realize
Ash
Glenn wasn't coming? Flash it
later?
up for me.
Linda, would you like me to text Jolynn Ash?
I got one yes and one no from her, so I'm not really sure because I sent it on two different emails. So I really don't know if she was coming or not.
Okay.
Okay, Bill, I think you need to start it off because we have no Glenn tonight.
Internet's a little unstable, so I'm going to turn off the.
Yeah, do you have the agenda
Yeah, let me share my screen.
to post? Yeah.
Is that big enough, Bill?
It hasn't come up yet. Give it a second.
Okay.
It's working on it. Yeah, oh, plenty big enough.
Too big? No.
Okay. No problem. We're going to start with everybody face towards your local flag, and we'll do a flag salute. Everybody will join me. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Linda, I'm going to have you do a roll call for everybody that's on the committee so that we know who's here and who's not here.
Okay, all right. Let me flip to that page in the book. Glenn Holm, we know is not here. Ricardo?
Here.
Heidi? Torian?
Here.
Jason?
Here.
Christy?
Here.
Bill?
Here.
Crystal? Jolynn? Brent? Mike Williams? Jay Jones?
Present.
Josh?
Present.
Heidi Johnson?
Here.
Emily Hammock?
I thought Emily was on. Wasn't she on?
She is. I think
Oh,
she.
she's muted.
I'm
Oh, here she-
here. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Here.
All right, so I count 9 out of 14, which gives us a quorum. Very good. So I'll call the meeting to order, which I should have did first. Sorry about that. And it is the North Marion School District Budget Committee meeting on Monday, the 17th of May, 2021. And time is about 6 o'clock. Going to have a budget chair, basically to just follow this this agenda. It's not necessarily needs to be the board chair, so it is just anybody on the committee. Does anybody want to step up to be the budget chair? Yep, it defaults to I'll nominate myself if nobody else does, but I'm looking at the screen and saying, does anybody want to be the budget chair?
What are the roles of that? Can you explain that, Bill?
You read the agenda through the meeting and close the meeting at the end. Pretty much that's it, right?
I normally
Is
would
that-
say I'd do it, but I'm president of Boosters and I'm at the concession stand at the baseball game. So I'll say that's not a good
No.
idea.
Yeah. Okay, hearing blank to keep it going. I'll nominate myself for budget chair. Is there any, not hearing anybody else? So we'll take a vote for me, which is Bill Gropp, to be the elected budget chair. We'll do just.
Second.
We have okay. Jay seconds, and we'll do this voice vote because we'll just say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, so we'll consider that a unanimous vote. Okay, at this time, I would like to hear the superintendent's budget message. Presenter is Ginger Redlinger, Superintendent of North Marion Schools. Ginger, take it away.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight and for volunteering to serve on the budget committee. A very important role in the operation of the district and making sure that we are good fiscal managers, communicating well with our constituents, and that all the information is available at any time So I appreciate your work and your willingness to step up and lead.
Ginger, you're breaking up. Do you have
So
more
here's our message.
going?
To the budget committee, the proposed budget for tonight, a summary of the proposed budget and how, I believe it is. The recording, is that what you asked, Linda?
No, your voice is breaking up. Can you just be closer to the microphone?
Here we go. All right. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. It's our pleasure to present to the budget committee, the proposed budget for the 2021-22 school year. This message is intended to provide a summary of the proposed budget and how this budget differs from the prior year. State School Fund. The budget is built on the assumption that the state of Oregon will provide the North Marion School District with its share of a state school fund of $9.3 billion, a fully funded student investment account, and a fully funded High School Success Act. As of this writing, the Ways and Means Subcommittee approved Senate Bill 5514 and Senate Bill 226 with amendments appropriating $9.3 billion to the state school fund, with $200 million coming from the Education Stability Fund. Final vote will come after this document is published. About COVID-19 and enrollment. The 2020-2021 school year was unprecedented in the history of public education. The COVID-19 pandemic compelled us to change our mode of instruction on a massive scale. In short order, we moved from brick and mortar buildings to the digital world. To do so, North Marion School District purchased curriculum and digital platforms, provided equipment and internet access to many students, and trained our employees in new technology and teaching techniques. This massive change yielded some interesting results. Some of our teachers and students thrived in this new format, and some did not. About 100 of our children either delayed their entry into North Marion School District schools or pursued educational services from other providers. This reduction in students has created a degree of uncertainty in the budgeting process. When preparing for each new year, we forecast off of the current year's enrollment data in order to project enrollment, staff levels, and budget allocations needed for the next year. For the 2021-22 school year, we assume some of those students will return, but we're unable to predict at what level. We are calculating the budget with the estimate that half of these students will return to North Marion schools. The estimated ADM is below the level of students we served in the 2019-2020 school year. At this time of the writing, negotiations are still in progress with the licensed and classified unions. In creating this budget, we have made some assumptions about the negotiations outcomes, but these are only placeholders until the contracts are finalized. We assume all employees will receive a 2% cost of living adjustment and an additional $100 a month monthly increase in insurance if we are funded at the $9.3 billion state school fund. About the student investment account. This budget includes fully funded student investment account allocations for the 2021-22 year. This is welcome news, as the 2020-21 allocation was approximately 1/3 of full funding. As mentioned in the budget workshop, this funding will be spent mainly on personnel: English language development teachers, a behavior specialist, counselors, a communication specialist, a family liaison, and an interpreter translator. The only other large purchases will be for the language arts adoption. Other funding. We will receive other funds from the American Rescue Plan Act ESSER grant. 3, along with state-funded summer enrichment learning programs. At this time, the budget reflects estimated revenues and expenses for these allocations. We are still in the planning stages for exact uses of these funds. Title grants and IDEA funding saw little change from 2020-21. However, we will also receive funds from the HB 3499 program for improving English language development student outcomes. These funds also support staffing for a program administrator that will also assist with related programs like Title 1C, Title I, and Title III, and equity work district-wide. Changes to our general fund budget as compared to last year for this proposed budget are briefly summarized below. Revenue. As mentioned before, this budget is built on a $9.3 billion state school fund. Anticipated revenue is projected to be approximately $600,000 less than last year. This decrease is mostly due to declining enrollment. Expenditures. Personnel costs. Approximately 81% of the budget is dedicated to personnel costs. Each year, the roll-up cost of personnel is normally the largest increase in the budget. Pay scales for staff are based on yearly step increases, which represent a 2 to 5% increase in pay. Some staff have reached the top of the salary schedule and receive longevity pay. In addition, unions negotiate additional raises known as COLAs, cost of living adjustments, and additions to their benefits package, which add to the overall cost of personnel. This year's budget reflects a decrease in salaries and associated payroll costs due to the decreases in revenue. Positions that are normally funded with general fund dollars were moved to other funding sources to keep current staff and service levels. This year's budget does not allocate money for curriculum adoption, as there is not capacity to do so. As mentioned above, the student investment account funds will cover the language arts adoption costs. The technology. The investment the district has made in providing technology to its students and staff is significant. Distance learning has become very important and may continue to be so as we work through all the complexities of COVID-19. Not unlike any other item, repairs and replacements must be planned for, budgets allocated so students and staff will continue to do their work in technology-rich environments. ESSER dollars have helped and will continue to help with technology needs for students and staff. PERS pension obligation bonds. The general fund, the general fund budget reflects the recent decisions to participate in the Oregon Education District's pension obligation bond program, with estimated bond proceeds and a PERS UAL payment of approximately 15 policy. The district continues to run on a modified accrual basis for accounting. The budget document presented today and adopted with any modifications in June becomes the financial plan of the district for the 2021-22 school year. Financial transparency. The district places annual audits and yearly budgets on our website. Monthly revenue and expense reports are included in regular school board meetings. Bond construction update. We are to the finish line with very few items remaining to complete the bond work. We are hearing good things from the community on the work completed and hope to be able to have an open house in late August or early September. Closing remarks. In closing, we thank the Budget Committee, the members of the North Marion School Board, and the community for helping us provide the allocation of resources necessary to help all students achieve their potential. Though a difficult year, our staff has continued to provide a high-quality education experience for students. As we have struggled with the ever-changing COVID guidance, we have innovated and learned new ways to serve students. We thank everyone involved for their hard work and dedication. Respectfully submitted, Ginger Redlinger, Superintendent, North Marion School District 15. That concludes my budget statement.
Sorry, was on mute. Chewing on some cashews. Thank you, Ginger, for reciting the budget message into the record. We will now proceed to 2D, which is the review and deliberation of the proposed 2021-2022 budget. Presenters are our budget officer, Superintendent Reddinger, and our business manager, Linda Murray. And I don't know how you guys are intending on rolling this message out, but go ahead and take it over.
Okay. Ginger, do you have anything you want to say after your long budget message, or are you good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. If you're following along on the budget document that was posted, we will jump to page 11. I do want to say that when we wrote the budget message, 9.3 had not been voted on by the full Ways and Means Committee, but they did vote on it Friday, and that did pass. So we will be funded at 9.3. So that's welcome news for us and all school districts. This first page that we're on, the revenue and expense analysis, gives you a look at about a 10-year summary of where we've been with revenue and where we're headed into for next year. With 2021 being estimated because we don't know exactly where we'll land, and then 21-22 basing it on the 9.3 billion. I also include some official enrollment information, and what I want to point out is that our enrollment for 2021 was 1759. We're estimating getting about 50 some of those back to and moving to 1811. That's a big guess, and the best guess Ginger and I could do at the time when we did this. All districts are struggling with this, and they really don't know how many students who left for homeschooling or charter schools will come back to the brick and mortar. We are hoping and thinking that about half that left will come back. So with our ADM down about 233 since I believe 15-16 was our highest year, that really makes our state school fund portion much lower than it has been. And you'll see in my next slide, my next graph. Well, okay, this is just showing, I tried something out of Forecast 5 and I didn't have time to make it prettier or bolder, but this is a look at our staffing levels and our enrollment levels and the percent that they've been changing over the years. Again, staffing and enrollment. Maybe I missed my page. No, this is it. This is a good look at where we're at by category. Licensed is the blue, classified, and where our funding is. In 2021, we did have 18.5 people budgeted for SIA and 1 person off campus. Most of those SIA personnel were not hired because our funding was cut by 2/3. So you'll see that that bumped up to 12 or went down to 12, and we do plan on hiring and are in the process of hiring most of those people now. This is just a very complicated graph that a lot of people like to look at if you're like an auditor type weirdo, so like me. So we'll just move on. This information is stuff that we have to have in the budget book according to the rules. And let's skip to page 18. If you're new to this, this is a great place to start to get your head around what funds are and what they're appropriated for. So you can see like Fund 100 is our general operating fund, the 200 funds, and then some of those split out just exactly what they are. Towards the back of the budget binder, you can see our budget worksheet, workbook. You can see these individual funds named. So this gives you a really good idea of what that fund is for and why it's being spent. You won't see 260 food service, you'll just see 260 for the most part. You don't see a title, but it gives you an idea of how that money is spent. On the next page, or 2 pages down, these are the revenue sources, and these are the function codes you see as you go through the document. And they're sorted by local, intermediate, and state sources. And then there's sometimes federal sources, especially with our grant funds. So that kind of gives you a good snapshot. There's something similar in the expense portion too. So people that don't use these numbers all the time can have a better idea of what they mean. On page 22 is our general fund revenue comparison for a 5-year period. I guess maybe 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you guys. I have this number. This should say 21-22 proposed, not 2021. I didn't get my title changed. What I wanted to point out here was on line 16, the state school fund. Last year, we were scheduled to get $16,466,000, and this year, $15,800,000. So it went down by $665,000. So when we said in the budget message that salaries and benefits went down because we had to move staff to other buckets of money, this is why. We just don't have the capacity to keep them. And this is at 9.3. Originally, they were talking about a $9.1 billion budget. We would have really been hurting if that's where we landed. So it's good to at least be at 9.3. Before I move on to expenses, does anybody have any questions or shall I keep going?
I don't see any hands raised in the list. I'll just say unmute now, or we'll keep going. Nobody's unmuting. Just keep going.
Thank you. So again, on page 26 and 27 are those functions and the summaries of them. So it gives you a better understanding of what the money is being spent on. I recommend, if you get stuck, flip back to these pages and it will be really helpful. Here's just a snapshot of where we get our money, and as you can see, or where we spend our money. As you can see, most of it is spent on salaries and benefits, and that's typical of any school district. The next page shows you a 3-year look at what percentage goes to salaries and associated payroll costs. It hovers around 81 or 82%. Almost always. Occasionally, when we've been really tight with money, it has gone higher just because we didn't have the money to buy supplies or anything other than that. What I really want to point out in the 21-22 school year is that after you get done with your salaries and benefits, then you have, say, 19% for other items. In this particular year, you look at electricity, natural gas, phone, substitute costs, transportation, the overhead that we have to have, that is expensive, and that's 11%. So you end up with about 8% of a budget, of your general fund budget, that can be spent on other items. So that's why most districts are tight, but it's also, the reason we're here is to educate students, so spending your money on staff makes sense. I'm just going to keep going, but if anyone has questions, just holler, raise your hand, or stop me.
When I see a hand raised, Linda, I'll shout it out.
Okay, great. Thank you. One of the biggest things that is not included in these other purchases is our property insurance and our technology needs. Those do add up quite a bit. And I hesitated to put them in there just because I wanted to keep it the same all along. This next sheet on page 30 is our FTE comparison for the 5 years, and then the proposed budget amounts for expenses. I do want to point out, I should have pointed it out in the revenue too. We're doing what we mentioned in the budget message, the PERS unfunded liability POB bond program, and that has to be accounted for as an in and an out. So the general fund shows a revenue of about 15.5 million and then an expense of about 15.5 million. It makes the general fund amount look much higher than the year before, but it's just an in and out to account for it. So it doesn't give us any more money to work with. If you want to see that on the sheets, the POB, you'll see it on page 57, where there's these other uses of funds, the 15,501. And again, it just makes our total amount large. On 59, this is just a summary of all the 200 funds. The details are behind these pages, but I did want to point out that from the adopted amount last year, which had gone up quite a bit from the prior year, we went from 3.6 to 7.8, and we're now at 10.1. That is mostly due to the SR/ARP dollars. We budgeted the whole allocation that they've given us. May not be the exact amounts, but we know we won't spend them all this year. We can spend this money, the biggest portion of this ESSER dollars, through September of 2024. So we want to have this money last if we can. So you'll see this big amount, but when you actually see the actuals for the 21-22 school year, it'll probably be much smaller than that.
Linda, did we spend a sentence explaining where ESSER 1, 2, 3 monies are coming from? I forgot.
I might have in the budget workshop, Bill, but I can
okay.
now. So
okay.
The ESSER monies are allocations from the federal government that come to us through the state, and they're allocated to us based on the same way they allocate our Title I dollars, and we get our proportionate share that way. There are ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3 all have different things you can and cannot spend on. 1 and 2 were pretty open. 3 is not quite as open as 1 and 2. So we'll see how we decide to allocate that. We have a few thoughts on that, but again, it's money that lasts a while. So we are definitely spending money out of technology in that, probably keep up with hotspots through that, but we want to see if we can do a bigger item. There are many school districts doing things like HVAC work, adding on to their classrooms if they can, those sorts of things, because it's the one time where you'll have a large amount of money, and that would help. HVAC work would help with all of the COVID related stuff that they want us to do. The one building that we are looking at is our primary school. That HVAC is 20 some years old, and it's getting to be time to replace the cooling towers. So we're digging into some look at the cost of that and trying to see if that would be a valuable place to spend that money. Does that answer your question, Bill?
I was just saying that ESSER is part of the Emergency Relief Act coming from the federal government. You know, it's one-time money coming in. It's not consistent.
Definitely. On page 80 is the debt service fund information. So that's the summary for debt service funds. And I just want to point out that that one is larger too, because now we would be making payments on the second POB bond. So we already have one, but now we have two. Our capital projects fund is getting way down there. So you can see we were at 47 million, 45, 22, now we're at 1.7. And that might be a little high just because I don't know when we're going to pay out some of our retainage and those sorts of things, if that'll happen before June 30th or after. So I'm keeping a little padding there, but we are really getting close to being done with all of that. We hope to get a couple of roofs done this summer, and that's really the end of the work. Are there any questions? That's all I have. Bill, you need to ask for public comments if you could.
Yeah, I was just waiting to see if we're letting it digest into the committee's head here, just to see if anybody had a late minute input. So public comment was supposed to be sent in to us, right?
Yes, and I didn't receive anything.
Diane, is that same true for you?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, so I want to have just a brief period of time now that we're past public comment that's not here, just general discussion from the committee, including positive, negative comments. Questions are certainly welcome. Anything that jumps out at you, please state it now. Josh, I see you come off mute. Or you got something on your mind?
Yeah, so with the very strong possibility of inflation, which could be 3 or 4% more than expected, how's that being accounted for in contingency?
I'm going to ask a strange question, Josh, that will directly relate to your question in a moment. Linda, did they split this 9.3, 49.51, or is it 50-50?
49.51.
Okay, so some of it is that we will get 49% of the 2-year budget off the bat and 51% in the second year. Now, a lot of that goes because costs go up in COLAs and salary and benefits, but also the expenditures are expected to go up as well. And that's why they split it 40, you get 49% this year, 51% next year. And inflation is really becoming a hotspot in the country as we overheat the economy. That's a personal statement from Bill, not a statement from the district. So we need to really pay attention to how hot the economy gets and really keep an eye on that. Was I addressing your question, Josh, or did I misunderstand?
You did address it. I mean, on a normal year, that would address normal inflation, but with the prediction and some of the scariness out there, and that's a Josh thing. Like there could be a real risk that won't matter, that 1%, 51% won't be anywhere near enough to cover inflation.
Yeah, and I'm sure if we do overheat the economy at a federal level, I'll be in a train of cars going down to Salem to say, hey, you guys need to do something about this.
Right. So I guess it's a wait and see, and
yeah,
the state and federal government have to figure it out.
Yep. All right, I have a hand up from Jason. Jason, go ahead.
Well, we made the assumption that we're going to get 50% of the kids back. I mean, that's going to be predicated on whether we can get all these kids back in school. I was curious how that was taken into consideration. And then if we don't get 51, I mean, obviously that number goes down incrementally per student. Is there a point where that becomes critical to the budget?
It certainly could, Jason. We get a little over 9,000 a student now. So if 10 of those don't come, that's $90,000, about the cost of a teacher if you looked at it that way. So definitely it's something we are really going to be watching in September, and we will have to make adjustments if we don't see 50 of them coming back and we only see 10, there will have to be some adjustments made.
Got it. Thanks.
Just to augment Jason's question, of course, it'll depend on what age category is not coming back, right?
Not for my funding. I get the same amount per student.
No. I mean, how we adjust will depend on where the kids came back and where they don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was my
yes
follow on. Jay, I see a hand up.
Yeah, was there anything in the critical section of our construction that we weren't able to complete because of cost that we need to look at over the next couple of years, over the next biennium?
No, we were very lucky to finish everything that the bond promised, and then a little bit more. The 2 roofs I spoke about, that's the Commons cafeteria at the high school. That was the same age as the primary school roof and needs to be replaced. And then also the other one is the, I don't know what we call it anymore, storage wrestling play area roof over by maintenance. And so When those two are done, then the oldest roof at North Marion will be the vocational building. And that was done in my time, maybe 15 years ago. It was supposed to be a 40 plus, I don't remember, 40-year roof. It had had really good reviews. We'll see if it holds up, but so far it's been good. When you ask my project manager what he would worry about next, it was the primary school cooling towers and the individual units at the intermediate school. Each classroom has its own HVAC. We redid the HVAC for the common type areas, the library, the admin area, and the cafeteria play area. But each individual classroom did not get replaced. They don't really need it yet, but that would probably be our next big item.
You good, Jay? Any follow-up?
Yep. That's great.
Okay, I'll call on Heidi Johnson.
Yeah, I think it is a real guessing game with how many kids are coming back versus not. And I think scheduling that open house is really going to be key so that people can get excited about coming back in the building and hopefully get more of a draw to having those students get back. So hopefully we can hold that, calendar it. I know you guys are probably up against restrictions and things to get it going, but I think that'll be a big draw.
I agree, Heidi, and I'd like to share that my intention is as soon as possible in August to start bringing back the first class, graduated classes, to have them come back in small groups, and then every decade have a quick one small group tour so that they can come back and see the building, and then roll in and have the parents come in. Again, we'll have to be in small groups until we figure out something. But yeah, we're very excited to bring them back, and I thank you for that suggestion to make sure that we do it early enough so people can be excited about returning to school. That's a great idea.
Any follow-up, Heidi?
No, thanks. That's it.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to chime in on some comments or questions? So in the agenda, for those who have the budget packet open, if you go back to page 5 of the print, and I printed mine, so I think it's page 5. We are at the point where we will approve or reject the proposed budget. If we reject, we will have another budget meeting on Thursday, May 20th. If we approve the budget tonight, there will not be a need for that meeting. If we need more time for discussion, that would be the reason to have a second budget meeting. But otherwise, if you look down at H, there is a resolution motion for hold on a second. Okay, for adopting the budget and the imposing of taxes on our district to support this budget. So
Bill,
if I don't have any more, what's that?
Bill, we need to do G first. First, they have to approve the budget, then they do the resolution.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. At the ESD, they did it all at the same time, so
Okay.
that's what we were doing here. So let's do G. So if nobody has any more comments or suggestions or requests for change, I'll entertain a motion for 2G for reading the approval of the budget as presented.
I approve the motion.
I second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for approving the North Marion School District proposed 2021-2022 budget in the amount of $55,116,950,000 as presented. Who seconded? I saw Heidi Johnson approve a motion, but who seconded?
Jay?
Jay, okay. So let's do the mass vote because we have so many people on the line. So we'll go for a yay vote, and then if anybody objects, I'll call for it. I'll have a nay vote after the yay vote is done. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, back to silence. So now I'll say if anybody is opposed, please say nay. And the chair will read that as a unanimous vote. For any abstention, sorry, I should have asked that. Anybody abstain? Okay, so that is unanimous. And then we have a resolution, which is 2H, and this one must be read. Even though I'm the budget chair, I can go ahead and read this if people don't have their budget open. So, and then we'll have a vote on the resolution. And this is the resolution for the budget committee to impose taxes on the district to support this budget. So be it resolved that the budget committee of the North Marion School District 15 hereby imposes the taxes provided for in the approved budget at the district's permanent rate of $3.3333 or $3.3333 per $1,000 of assessed values of operation in the amount of $1,979,238 for debt services on general obligation bonds, and that these taxes are hereby imposed and categorized for the tax year 2021-2022 upon the assessed values of all taxable properties within the district. So I said that a little wrong up front. That resolution is for the paying of the GO bond at that tax rate. So, so I'll take a motion to approve that resolution as read.
Motion to approve as read.
Josh, motions, second?
I'll second.
Second by Ricardo. Okay, again, voice vote. We'll do it slow, so make sure. All in favor, say aye, or I should say any discussion before we vote. Okay, seeing nobody's hands. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, back to silence. So any opposed, say nay. Anybody abstain? Then we pass that resolution by unanimous votes. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Anybody have anything, closing comments before our mine? Okay. Again, as the chair, you elected me chair, so I want to thank staff. I want to thank the committee and thank the board, fellow members of the board, for all the work that was done putting this budget together. Is there tough times? There's a lot of things that we have to do here that we wouldn't normally do in a year, but this is the times we need to get through. And so let's all work on keeping ourselves, our families, and our community safe and get back to normal as fast as possible. I appreciate all your work and your participation in the budget committee. Thank you. And we are now adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Linda. Bye.
Y'all.
Welcome.
Great work, everybody.